Right now, tonight, somewhere between the moment you turn off the light and the moment you actually fall asleep, your body is going to make a decision. And that decision has almost nothing to do with how tired you are. Here's the fear nobody wants to say out loud. Many people don't die during the day. They die in their sleep. A heart that seemed fine at dinner stops keeping rhythm at 3 a.m. A blood vessel in the brain that held for 70 years finally gives way while the house is dark and silent and nobody is watching. No warning, no ambulance ride, no chance to say anything to anyone. If you're over 60, you've probably already thought about this. Maybe you've woken up in the middle of the night with your heart pounding for no reason and lay there wondering if that was something or nothing. Maybe you've heard about a neighbor, a relative, someone from church who went to bed on a Tuesday and simply never woke up on Wednesday. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a question sits that you don't ask anyone, is that going to be me? Here is what almost nobody tells you. That last hour before sleep is not neutral. It's not just winding down. Physiologically, it is one of the most dangerous and most protective windows in your entire 24-hour cycle, depending entirely on what you do inside it. Sleep researchers and cardiologists have spent decades studying why cardiovascular events cluster in the early morning hours, why the brain's cleanup process either succeeds or fails overnight, and why the habits people practice in that final hour can tip the balance one way or the other. This isn't about getting better sleep in some vague self-help sense. This is about whether your heart rhythm stabilizes or destabilizes while you're unconscious and defenseless. This is about whether your brain flushes out the toxic waste linked to dementia or lets it accumulate for one more night. So let's go through exactly what happens in that final hour, what most people are doing wrong without realizing it, and what you need to do instead, starting tonight. Remember to subscribe and let me know if you have trouble sleeping. 1. The temperature trap. Here's something that sounds backwards. Taking a hot shower right before bed can help you sleep, but only if you understand why. And most people get the timing wrong. Your body doesn't fall asleep because it gets warm. It falls asleep because of what happens after it gets warm, a rapid drop in core body temperature. Think of it like a thermostat with a hair trigger switch. When you take a warm shower or bath, blood rushes to the surface of your skin to release heat. Once you step out, your core temperature drops fast, faster than it would have dropped on its own. That sharp drop is one of the strongest biological signals your brain uses to trigger the release of melatonin and shift you into sleep mode. The mistake almost everyone makes. They shower right at bedtime, then get into bed immediately, trapping the heat under blankets before the drop can happen. Sleep specialists generally suggest finishing a warm shower somewhere between 60 and 90 minutes before you actually intend to sleep enough time for that temperature crash to do its work while you're still up doing something calm, not lying in bed fighting for sleep that won't come. 2. The blue light lie. You've heard turn off your screens before bed so many times it's become background noise. Here's the part that should actually scare you. It's not just about quality of sleep. It's about whether your body ever gets the signal to release melatonin at all. Melatonin isn't just a sleep chemical. It's part of a hormonal cascade that also affects blood pressure regulation and inflammation overnight. Blue spectrum light, the kind blasting out of your phone, your tablet, your television, tricks your brain's internal clock into thinking it's still daytime. Your pineal gland essentially gets a false signal to stand down. Research on light exposure and circadian rhythm has consistently found that blue light in the evening delays and suppresses melatonin release compared to dim, warm light. For an older adult whose melatonin production is already naturally declining with age, that suppression matters more, not less. The fix isn't complicated, but it is non-negotiable. In your final hour, screens go dark. If you must use a device, use night mode and keep the brightness as low as physically tolerable. Better yet, a book with a warm reading lamp, not a screen at all. 3. The worry you never unloaded. This one is less about the body and more about something just as dangerous. An unquiet mind lying in a dark room, replaying every unresolved thing from the day. Cognitive scientists who study sleep onset have found something consistent. When people write down their unfinished tasks and worries before bed, even a simple list, even messy handwriting, they tend to fall asleep faster than when they simply think about those same worries in bed. The theory is straightforward. Your brain keeps looping on unresolved threats because it's afraid of forgetting them. Writing them down physically on paper tells your brain the information is safe now, it doesn't need to keep rehearsing it all night. For someone managing health worries, financial concerns, or family stress in later life, this worry download isn't a soft self-help trick. It's a way of interrupting a stress hormone loop before it reaches your bedroom. Keep a notepad by the bed. In your final hour, take 5 minutes and write down whatever is looping in your head, the appointment you need to make, the call you need to return, the thing your daughter said that's been bothering you. Close the notebook. Tell yourself, it's on paper now, not in me. 4. The nightcap that isn't helping you. A lot of people in their 60s and 70s grew up believing a small drink before bed helps you sleep. It's time to be direct about this. It does the opposite of what you think. Alcohol can make you fall asleep faster because it's a sedative, but it wrecks the architecture of your sleep later in the night. As your body metabolizes the alcohol over a few hours, it triggers a rebound effect. Lighter sleep, more awakenings, and disrupted REM sleep, which is the stage most tied to memory consolidation and emotional processing. For older adults, alcohol can also relax the muscles of the airway more than it does in younger people, worsening snoring and breathing interruptions during the night. The same interruptions link to nighttime strain on the heart. If you've been using a nightly drink as a sleep aid, understand what you're actually trading. A slightly faster sleep onset for several hours of fragmented, lower quality sleep in the back half of the night, right when your brain most needs uninterrupted deep sleep to do its repair work. 5. The late meal sabotage. Eating a heavy meal within that final hour is one of the most common and most quietly damaging habits among older adults, and it's rarely discussed with the seriousness it deserves. When you eat late, your digestive system has to keep working while your body is trying to power down for the night. This isn't just about acid reflux, though that alone can wake you gasping at 2 a.m. It's also about blood sugar. A large or carbohydrate-heavy meal close to bedtime causes a spike in blood glucose, followed later in the night by a drop, and that overnight glucose swing has been linked in research to more fragmented sleep and increased inflammatory activity. For someone with borderline blood sugar control, which describes a huge number of adults over 60, this nightly swing adds up. The practical rule: stop eating at least 3 hours before bed. If you truly need something in that final hour, keep it small, a few almonds, a small piece of cheese, nothing that asks your stomach to work hard while your brain is trying to shut down. 6. The brain's nightly cleanup crew. This is the part that should matter most to anyone who is ever quietly worried about memory loss or dementia in their family. Your brain has its own waste clearance system, active mainly during deep sleep, that flushes out metabolic byproducts that accumulate during waking hours, including proteins that, when they build up over years, are associated with cognitive decline. Researchers studying this system have described it functioning almost like a nightly rinse cycle. Cerebrospinal fluid washes through brain tissue more efficiently during deep sleep than at any other time. If deep sleep is cut short, fragmented, or never properly reached because of screens, alcohol, late meals, or racing thoughts, that nightly rinse cycle doesn't complete the way it's supposed to. This is why what you do in that final hour is not a small lifestyle detail. It is directly connected to whether your brain gets its full cleaning shift tonight or a partial one. One skipped night isn't the crisis, it's the accumulation, year after year, of partial nights that researchers believe contributes to long-term cognitive risk. 7. The breath that talks to your heart. Here is a tool almost nobody uses, and it costs nothing. Slow, controlled breathing in your final hour, aimed specifically at activating your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve is the main highway of your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest side of you, as opposed to the fight or flight side that keeps you alert and your heart rate elevated. Slow exhalation, longer than your inhalation, directly stimulates this nerve and lowers heart rate and blood pressure. A commonly used pattern is inhaling for 4 counts, holding for 7, and exhaling for 8, repeated for just a few minutes. The exhale is the important part. It's doing the actual work of shifting your nervous system out of alert mode. For an aging cardiovascular system, walking into sleep with an already elevated heart rate and stress hormones still circulating is exactly the wrong way to cross into those vulnerable early morning hours. A few minutes of intentional slow breathing in your final hour can measurably shift your body toward the calmer state you actually want to be in when the lights go out. 8. The wake time anchor. Last one, and it contradicts almost everything people assume about sleep. The most powerful thing you can do for your final hour tonight isn't something you do tonight. It's waking up at the same time every single morning, weekends included. Your circadian rhythm is regulated largely by a fixed wake time and morning light exposure, not by when you happen to go to bed. When your wake time drifts, sleeping in on weekends, staying up late one night and crashing another, your internal clock loses its anchor and your final hour before bed becomes unpredictable and less effective no matter what else you do, right? A consistent wake time trains your body to naturally start releasing melatonin around the same time each evening, which means that final hour stops being a fight against your own biology and starts working with it. A story worth sitting with. Let's call her Margaret, not her real name. A composite drawn from patterns clinicians describe seeing often, not one specific person's medical history. Margaret was 74, active, careful about her diet, and yet she woke up exhausted almost every morning. She'd wave it off as just getting older. What she didn't realize was that her final hour was working against her. Television until the moment she turned off the lamp, a glass of wine most nights to relax, and a mind that replayed the day's worries the second her head hit the pillow. When she finally restructured that hour screens off 90 minutes before bed, the wine replaced with herbal tea, 5 minutes of writing down the day's loose ends, and slow breathing as she settled in, the change wasn't overnight, but within a few weeks, she described waking up feeling like herself again for the first time in years. Nothing about her days changed, only that 1 hour did. What this really means for you. None of this is about achieving perfect sleep. It's about understanding that the final hour before you close your eyes is not empty, wasted time. It is the setup for everything your body attempts to do while you're unconscious. Stabilizing your heart rhythm, clearing your brain of the waste linked to memory decline, repairing tissue, regulating blood sugar. Get that hour right, and you're giving your body its best possible chance to do that work safely. Get it wrong night after night, and you're asking an aging body to do repair work under the worst possible conditions. You don't need to change everything tonight. Pick one habit from this list, the one that felt most familiar, most uncomfortably close to something you already do, and change just that one thing tonight. Then your final hour is one of the few parts of your day you have complete control over. Use it deliberately.